Hello and welcome back to another edition of Chill with Kaiju Kim. I'm Kaiju Kim. Hope you're all doing well on this lovely afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. This channel recently hit 800 subscribers. Hooray! One step closer to 1,000. Gotta celebrate the small victories. But our guest for tonight recently celebrated a huge victory when his channel hit 90,000 subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Nick Adam of the Monster Report.
Good to be here with Kaiju Kim. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Excellent. Just glad to be here and working on that new office space too. So still in this little broom closet, but things are coming along and we'll have the new studio set up for the show. But I'm glad to be here to talk a little Monster Report.
That's awesome. And if you hadn't mentioned that it was a broom closet, I wouldn't have been able to tell.
Yeah, it's very small. I don't know if the camera's doing it much justice, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you got that wide angle going on there, so that kind of helps a little bit.
That's right.
But, it's coming along nicely, I think.
Yeah. Right now the outside, it's a big hole in the ground, and there's a concrete slab. So hey, progress. A little bit more every day. It'll be something that actually resembles a house.
Hooray! One step at a time. All right. Let's see who we have in the chat tonight. We got Doomzilla. What's going on, my friend? Thanks for stopping by. Godzilla Train 1090. Hello, Adrian. Thank you for stopping by. And our friend Derek from Bonus Commentary. What's going on? Hello. And we got Luminous in the chat as well. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. All right, Nick. Have you seen the show before?
Yes, I have. I got to see one of my buddies, Daniel DeManna, on your show and talking prior to G-Fest, and you guys were building up some hype for that. So I wish I could go, but it's always the wrong time of year for me with some kids' activities we have during summer. So I just...
you got to schedule the kids' activities around G-Fest. Come on.
I would. It's 4-H, which we have here in Indiana. It's all when they show the animals at the fairs, the county fairs and the state fairs. It's all during that time every year. So unless maybe they move G-Fest a couple of weeks earlier, a couple of weeks later, maybe I'll be able to make it. But but you guys were building it up, and I know you guys got to be there and. Got some great content you brought back out of it, so I'm looking forward to hearing more and more. But yeah, I've seen some great pictures and some great reviews from it.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a great time. I definitely want to go again. I was on my very first panel, which was amazing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. What panel was that?
The Kaiju YouTubers panel / podcasters panel with Danny was on it too, and Nathan Marchand. And awesome. Jake Denunzio, Denunzio. I can't speak. I'm sorry. Kaiju Legends. There we go.
Yes. Excellent.
And the guy from one of the guys from Wikizilla was on there as well. But yes, so you have seen the show before, so you know the 3 questions that I'm about to ask you.
I think so. It's been a while since I've had the chance to hear them, so lay them on me. We'll take them.
All righty. So, how did you get into Godzilla? What's your favorite Godzilla movie? And what is your favorite non-Godzilla kaiju movie?
Okay. How did I get into Godzilla? To keep it brief and 50,000 foot overview, I guess, is, about the time I was 4 or 5, Godzilla 1985 had been airing on TV and in rental stores too. So I knew it was on our TV, and it just was like, I was just instantly drawn to it, especially some of the scenes where you got, the human characters looking up and you got shots of them in the foreground with Godzilla in the background, the city just burning down to the ground. And it was just like, I was scared of him, but I couldn't take my eyes off of him. I just like this film was just I don't know, it was such a turning point in my life. And you know, as I discovered more and more, at that time it was prior to the internet, so it was like the video rental stores or the library where you would actually go and, you know, get that Crestwood Monster series, Ian Thornbrook's book, or the Pictorial Guide to Horror Movies, to kind of look up and see what else was out there as far as monsters that were concerned. You know, there was plenty of American monsters, but I was like, well, where's the Japanese giant monsters? That's what I want to see. You know, I want to see all of these. So started going to the video stores, making my collection, because I said I'm going to watch these, you know, over and over again. So I got to own these. These aren't something I want to rent. And my local video store did have 85, and it had the Gigantic Mechagodzilla, and it did have the Gamera series on tape in the children's section. And so it was like, cool, this is, you know, this is a start, actually. And it was funny. I was like, well, where are more? Can you guys get more? And they said, well, we used to have the original Godzilla, but I think we sold it to somebody. And I was like, that almost to me sounded like the holy grail of movies, because I was like, I couldn't find it anywhere on tape. At that time, it was pretty hard to find. Eventually, I did find it, the Raymond Burr American, you know, version, and loved that up and down. And of course, 85 had shots from it, so that's where I was like, oh yeah, give me more, give me more. I can't take enough of this. So you're never gonna saturate me with that. And so so second question, let's see, favorite Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I always kind of rate things along the lines of rewatchability. And so I may rewatch some of the films for the fun factor of it. So I do find myself rewatching Megalon a lot.
I love Megalon.
Yes, it's so fun. And even though it's goofy and silly at times, I love it.
That's the beauty of it. It's the goofiness.
Yes, yes. And you get, you know, 4 giants getting into the battle together. And at that time I had heard of Ultraman, and we had Ultraman Towards the Future, the Australian version of it. So I kind of knew about Ultraman, but not like the Japanese side of Ultraman. And so I guess at first when I saw a trailer for Megalon, it was on this documentary that was talking about dinosaurs in the movies. And it was like, there was this, you know, short scene with Jet Jaguar, and I was like, well, that's Ultraman, right? And so until I saw the movie, you know, myself, I was like, I thought that was Ultraman, and that was the pairing up of Godzilla and Ultraman, and I'm like, man, these movies are so awesome. Where can I find more? They also had a trailer for Ghidra, the three-headed monster, and Destroy All Monsters too, and I was like, yeah, just anytime these were on TV, I had to tape them off of TV. Not all of them were ready. And then I was hearing about the fact in the 90s that these were still being produced in Japan. And I was like, how am I going to get these? I mean, how long do I got to wait? You know, it was nice when we finally did get the 98 film that they started, you know, releasing them over here. So we could actually start, because the hype, you know, was there. So the hunger and thirst was there. So it was cool to get that. And then non-Godzilla. Boy, that's tough, but you know, I love them all. I have, I guess, a soft spot for my boy Varan here. Love Varan. I think the movie's awesome. It's very unique in the non-Godzilla kind of kaiju. I love that design, and he just, I don't know, there's just something about him. It just is so cool, and I think he's so underrated because he's just not been in much of anything other than the original Varan. You know, a few shots in Destroy All Monsters in that Godzilla video game in the Nintendo, you know, days. I mean, other than that, we didn't get much, but I just, you know, you gotta love that face.
I mean, he is pretty handsome. I mean,
I know, right? And Mr. Nakajima crawling around in that outfit, and you know, brutalizing his body the way he did.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, for Varan's not a movie I hear much about these days, or at all, really. He's kind of like a discount Anguirus.
Right.
But yeah, I do agree. He deserves more love. Every kaiju deserves love. Really cool, but yes.
Yeah, especially the underrated ones. I got a special spot for the ones that just they don't get a lot of attention out there. And so, some of the ones like Space Amoeba, Yog, I guess they also call it, and like the Dogora, just they aren't talked about as often. Matango is another one. Love those films. And maybe you could call them kaiju because they're not giants. I mean, they're monsters. The mushroom people, they could have been existing in the people's heads, I guess, but that's also a really bizarre film to watch too. So, yeah, Doomzilla likes Varan.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, man. All right.
Discount Angerus, I call shenanigans. Shenanigans is a funny word. All right, so before we move on, just want to say hello to Executor Dragon. Thank you for stopping by. Hello.
Good to see you.
The very first Gamera movie is the first kaiju film that he watched. So that's a good movie too, in Gamera. Gamera's a good boy. All right, so let's talk about your YouTube channel. By the way, congratulations on hitting 90K subscribers.
Thank you so much. It's been a while and a long time coming, but feel very blessed by that, and I just appreciate every like, every hit of that subscription. I just appreciate it so much.
Yeah, you always get like a sense of serotonin when like someone subscribed, like, yay.
Yeah. And I was right there with you, and congratulations where you are. 800, you're going to get there. Yeah. And I think it's awesome. I don't feel in competition with other kaiju content creators. I love to talk to them. I love to collab with them. I think this is great, and being on your show is amazing. So I was just, I was on cloud nine when I've been starting to being a guest and also receiving them as guests to be on the show, because I love talking about the same things. How'd you get there? Where'd you come from? What was your motivation to doing all this? That kind of stuff. I think it's great because, in some areas, it's hard to find kaiju fans. And so at least out here on the web, we can talk, we can discuss our love for kaiju and not be looked at like, what is he talking about?
What's wrong with you? What?
Right. Geek. Yeah.
I will proudly wear the geek badge. I don't care. But yes, you're right. The internet can be a wonderful place sometimes for the reasons you just mentioned. So first things first, how and when did Monster Report begin?
All right. Monster Report started in 2014 prior to the Gareth Edwards Godzilla 2014 legendary film. Always was a Godzilla fan, obviously, from way back, but I always had in the back of my head that I was going to do something content creation. I saw podcasting becoming more popular, but I was not an audio kind of person. I always wanted to do something visually because I was a video producer, like yourself, video editor, and worked in media that way. So I like to show, not tell, but also tell. So it was like, I can do this actually. If I got a camera or a cell phone, I can produce a show, and start from small beginnings. At that time, I was a teacher in the Union City High School, where you actually see that high school in that Godzilla Art in Union City video that I created. It was a case that I started just doing a couple interview shows, bringing some guests on, bringing some students on, and some co-teachers that were also geeks like me that love to talk about this kind of stuff. One of the art teacher actually was a friend of mine who his wife was actually Japanese, and so he'd spent some time over there teaching art. And so I kind of wanted to get his kind of take on things of living over there, what the culture was like, and his reaction to the movies. And then what really launched it was the aforementioned Godzilla Alert in Union City, which is where I took some students of mine and said, hey, the director of the new Godzilla is saying, can you make it look like he's in your hometown? And I'm saying, guys, we could do this. And I saw other people shooting with their cell phones and whatever, the flip cams and things like that, they were running away from nothing in the sky, running around away from sound effects. And I said, guys, we got the equipment here. We've got the ability to do this. I think I can make it look like he was in the sky. So could you help me shoot this? And so they were on board. we came up with just an idea on the fly of like them sort of like trying to scare me, I guess, and make it sound like I was being chased by a giant monster. It's terrible acting. It's along the levels of your Adam West Batman, so maybe even worse than that. So I I said, let's just do it. It'll be hokey and goofy, but they were allowing you to use portions of the trailer, which is all we had at that time. And so I said, Mike could make it look like he's in the skyline of our little town, and use the landmarks. So our town's very train heavy, so using that, the football field with the wind tower in the background, things like that. A small brick kind of downtown area that we have, and say, yeah, make it look like he's actually up there in the sky and having the, like the nuclear bomb going off and all that, and close it all out. Short 2-minute video. And what really just shot the show in the arm was Legendary Pictures retweeting that video, which was incredible. I mean, that just took it from there. And I didn't want to believe it at first. I said, well, that can't be true, or it's a bot account, it's a fake account or whatever out there. And I was like, no, it's the real thing. So to think that maybe Gareth Edwards might have seen my little cheesy film, maybe, who knows?
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's what really launched it from there, and just kind of went from there. And I'm sure we'll get into kind of as we go along with the details of where it's led me to this point now.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So that's awesome that you got a retweet from Legendary. That's wow. I was kind of hoping I would get a retweet from Legendary too when the Godzilla versus Kong trailer come out. I did a reaction video because I wouldn't be a true YouTuber if I didn't.
Right.
But I was hoping they would see it because it did get a lot of views, at least for me. But I got overlooked. Darn it.
I know.
It's okay.
Legendary. Find
Hello.
Kaiju Kim. Yes. She can sell your brand very well.
Hello. I mean, I don't usually like to play this card, but I am a female Godzilla fan. Come on now.
Right.
That's where the money is. No, I'm joking. All right. All right. So from what I can tell, your live streams are pretty similar to my show. You take kaiju fans from all walks of life and you sit down, have a conversation with them and about, things that they love, and there's no animosity, no competition. And that's amazing. That's one of the favorite things about my show. It's just nerds being nerds and having a good time. So would you say that the conversations that you have with your guests is like one of the best, if not the best parts of your show?
Yeah, I love talking to people about this kind of stuff because it really helps me reassure me why, I continue in this, in what I am. You probably have other kind of IP that you love to, Star Wars, Star Trek, something else like that is kind of on the peripheries. That's always been, out there too for me. Music, other intellectual property that I like to consume. I've always came back to Godzilla. I've always come back to the giant monsters. And so, when I've thought about other shows that I could do, I've always thought, well, what do I have a lot to talk about? Well, I could talk a little about some of these other subjects, but these are the things that I could really flesh out, really dig into the information. And what's cool about it is the discovery of information that I was completely unaware of. Some of these, like you talked about, the non-Godzilla kaiju, some discovering more and more of those that are out there, seeing more of the works of Ishiro Honda and Eiji Tsuburaya, seeing what else they did alongside of Godzilla. And it's just like, well, it fits right in the glove of the universe of what, they were creating. So yes, and that is the most enjoyable kind of part of it, is doing live streams. I used to do Skype where I pre-recorded it, and Skype is just so wonky to work with. And, the beautiful StreamYard came out one day, and it was like, this is what I've been waiting for. Where have you been?
Where have you been my whole life?
Even if you wanted to do pre-recorded, it's a great, easy tool to use. And I'm like, this is fantastic. So started doing more live shows. I thought about doing some pre-recorded, but I just like live. I think it's great. I love the interaction like you got here with the comments and people chiming in. That's the interactivity is just so much fun, and it makes the world so much bigger, you know?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I was actually going to ask you, like, because you also have some edited content on your channel. Like, I was going to ask you, which do you enjoy more, like the edited content or the live streams?
I love it all. The pre-recorded kind of edited content, like the box days, I do those with my kids. Those are very enjoyable because I get to see their reactions to unboxing a brand new figure and playing with them to a point, because some of these are high dollar collectibles and like, don't break it, don't break it. But I love the, just the aha moments out of that. When I was growing up, there wasn't that many toys. We had the Imperial Godzilla from KB Toys and Toys R Us, but that was about it. There was a few Ultramans from Bandai that started coming out, again, the Australian series, but not a lot. But I love the box days. I'd love to do more video essays. Those are tough to script and doing all that. I've done a few, but I'd love to do some more. And I also have the monster trailers, which is something I don't appear on camera for, but I get to edit content similar to like the Honest trailers, if you remember those, and the what was it called, like Cinema Sins, with the everything wrong with. But in this case, I like to take a classic film or any kind of film that's been out there that's monster related and make it somewhat look modernized, or even do a flipperoo on it and take a modern film and make it look like it's classic. So did a GVK where I used the 62 audio and gave it some grain and some film scratches and all that to make it look like it was classic. So those are just fun, fun to do and see what people's reactions are to them. And but of course, it's content we all love. So I don't think there's there's a lot on the channel to offer people, and that's what I try to push out that content. But again, like anything else, it's not our day job. It's just what we do as enjoyment when we have time.
Yeah, just for kicks and giggles.
That's right. That's right.
All right. We have a question from Executor Dragon. If you could write a kaiju story, how would you go about it?
A kaiju story, like an original kaiju story. The original kaiju story would be interesting. I actually have responded to something similar, like if I had to write either a Godzilla movie or a kaiju movie. I always liked films that were like the docudrama style films, history style drama films. I'd love it to be a kaiju film that was about the filmmaking of Godzilla. You have actors playing, Japanese actors that are playing Ishiro Honda, Tomoyuki Tanaka, Eiji Tsuburaya, Haru Nakajima, and they're coming up with the first Godzilla movie. They're trying to figure out how to do it. They're setting off explosions. They're getting the suit to fit right and look right, and all the cameras and all the creators, and get the story fleshed out. And Akira Takarada, and all of that to get them all to come together in this great story. So I would have thought that a behind the scenes kind of movie, if you think of films like, I don't know, The Aviator, it's the story of, Leonardo DiCaprio playing Howard Hughes. And, he's a filmmaker. He's also a guy who makes planes. And so it's kind of a life history kind of story. So I think, and if you make maybe Ishiro Honda kind of the central focal point of this, maybe it's the early films of Godzilla, or maybe you just focus on the original Godzilla, which really kicked off what the creature that we all love and the big giant monster explosion that became what we had after post Godzilla and post King Kong to a point, but mostly post Godzilla. So that's my kind of kaiju story. I would love to write, maybe direct, who knows.
That would be awesome. Thank you for that. All right. So walk us through your routine of one of your videos or your live streams. Like, what do you do? You like finding a guest for your show, prepping, maybe keeping up with, kaiju related news, all that fun stuff. Like, what's your routine, your process?
Sure. Yeah. A couple of the the streams that I've done, like the live streams where I bring on a guest ahead of time, I might have some basic topics of discussion. I might approach them to be like, hey, do you like to be on the show? I think you have interesting content if they're a content creator like yourself. And by the way, I'm inviting you publicly right here on a future live stream because I'd really like to hear about the background to your show as well, and pick your brain a little on the kaiju content side of things too, because I think I think we play off each other well, and we learn stuff from each other. And I always like to help other kaiju content creators. I think it just helps our brand immensely if we're not in competition with each other, but we're in collaboration with each other. So that's why I like to bring guests on that, for one, family friendly, because I like my show to be something my kids can watch. And I just personally would rather it be that way. We could do a rant show. And I've done some rants on my show to a point. I think there's enough out there. I think there's enough negativity out there on some of the content that people can talk about the latest Star Wars or Marvel film, and they can have that. That's not me. So I'm all about the stuff I love, and so that's why we'll either pick a subject. So something like we're going to discuss our top 10 favorite kaiju, maybe our top 10 non-Godzillas, things like that. Favorite music from the kaiju series, favorite whatevers, and really flesh that out. Even some, really bizarre topics out there like Godzilla's brain, because there's so many like times that they've said, well, his brain is really small. No, his brain is really great, and he has 2 of them. And it's, I mean, things like that. It's like it changes all the time. But but mostly I'll talk to them about themselves, about their kaiju upbringing, if you will. And so, how did it start? And it's funny when you get to talking to them about their starting point. I found that's very interesting because, like, if their starting point was the Heisei series, if they were, young during the 90s, but then, the 98 film came out, and then we started getting the Heisei series, that might have been their first exposure to Godzilla. Maybe it was the 98 film. Maybe it is more current and it's legendary pictures. And now they're discovering Showa, Heisei, and Millennium. They're discovering the great Japanese footage, of films. And so, the starting point's always interesting. For me, it was 85. Yes, but it led me into Showa, which was all I had at the time. And of course, we had our comic book series. We had our Hanna-Barbera series. So I love the memories. I love talking about the memories of those things, whether they're younger or older, my age, whatever. I like to hear where the starting point was and how that kind of formed. Because it's funny, the people who are like those Heisei babies, we'll call them, they've got a soft spot for things like Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. And to me, that's not one of my favorites, but I like it for what it is. But it's not one that I find myself rewatching a lot. But for them, that's like their Godzilla versus Megalon because it's very entertaining, So even in its goofiness, it's got something for them. So usually that's kind of the way I like to go with the shows. Then of course the box days, I try to think ahead on what kind of approach. If we're going to do a skit during the show with my kids, if I'm going to do the box days solo or not. Obviously, I try not to say the same things over and over again. How many times can you say, "Ooh, look at the detail"? It's like
that's exactly why I don't do figure reviews. I'm like, "Ooh, look at the detail." I don't. Oh, okay. It looks cool, and it moves kind of, sort of. Yay! That's it. The end. Subscribe.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and sometimes I'll do the non-Godzilla stuff and branch into like Transformers. Or like obscure film called The Black Hole, 1979, a classic Disney obscure title. Things like that. Ultraman, Dune, some other. He-Man has been kind of a more recent unboxing. There are monsters in He-Man, so it kind of fits. Just because I'm a fan of that, and also home video. Things like picking up. I don't know if you've seen it. This Blu-ray, this beautiful Blu-ray that has 4 films of Varan, Space Amoeba, Gorath, and Dogora, all in one, actually. Unfortunately, there are no English subtitles or English dubbing to it, but it's like this kind of stuff. I'll watch it over and over again. I know the story, so at least I'm there to watch the special effects and want to see it in beautiful Blu-ray quality. So sometimes want to talk about home video releases. Also, fan of like laser discs and vinyl album collecting too. So doing some of that, and obviously there's the trailers, which are another thing that planning ahead. It kind of starts with the music, kind of starts with the idea of what approach was the feeling to the music. I try to find copyright free, royalty free music. A few tracks I've actually purchased, but not many. But a lot of royalty free music that's out there for free that you can find, and making up your own trailers to be able to monetize those and to be able to produce some fun content for people. So with the approach that I have to that, I always try to think about if the song fits it and how I want to end it, because trailers, what really gets you to go to the movie, and I've always kind of thought about that with the trailers that I love, is a big finish, something at the end that really is like, I got to see that. And that's what I love about some of the trailers I put out that are films no one's seen before, and maybe they heard of them and now they're interested in them again, even though they're old. They're gonna go seek them out and find them and be like, hey, that was actually pretty good. Where has this movie been? It's like when I discovered John Carpenter's The Thing, or like I said, the 1979 Black Hole, or obscure, giant monster movies like Dragon Wars, things like that. And I watch them and I'm like, yeah, actually, I kind of like this one. I'm going to make a trailer for it. May as well,
That's awesome. You take something old and you make it new.
Yeah. Give it that modern look to it. I remember when Hans Zimmer's music, with Inception, all the trailers after that point all had the blah sound.
Yeah, that got old real quick.
I know, right? So I'm like, try not to do that too often. Every once in a while. Or it could be all J.J. Abrams and just lens flares constantly.
Yeah. By the way, I might be able to hook you up with some royalty-free music if you're interested. Talk to me after this.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. That's why we work together, collaborating. Yes. I love this.
Collaboration. That's where it's at. Absolutely awesome. So, box days. Is it safe to say that you're an avid collector?
It's a more recent thing, in the sense that I don't think I got my first X Plus until maybe 2015 or so, after going to G-Fest and seeing them. It was not something that was sold in stores. I had my Trendmasters, little stuff like that, little Bandai things that I had every once in a while. But to me, I was always a collector of the home video, the Laserdiscs, because some of the Laserdisc movies had stuff that was not on the DVD releases and vice versa. My old VHS collection, loved to collect the music, and books, loved to read. Ed Gadzierski's and Steve Rifles and August Bergoni's books, and some of the older books that are the information's quite outdated and just wrong. If you've read the Ian Thorne Crestwood series, especially, but it's like, oh man, they were wrong on so many things. But I still love those books for what they were. But yeah, those are the kinds of collecting that I did at that point, magazines, and comics, all that. And so it wasn't until I realized that I was like, man, these X Plus figures are really beautiful. And then, so I had my friend Mike Ross at G-Fest. He had a 68, and this was my first X Plus, because my first versus Godzilla was Gigan, actually, which is this suit. And so I was like, I would really love to have a Gigan and Godzilla next to each other. And so I said, I'll start with this and see where it takes me from there. And of course, the expense was the big, like, do I want to get into this? Because maybe when I start, could I stop?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope for sure.
Right, exactly.
As you can see behind me.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, and is it because I'm collecting too much, or is it the shelves? It's the shelves. It's definitely the shelves.
Definitely the shelves. 100%.
It's not an obsession. Truly not an obsession.
I can stop anytime I want.
Right.
Totally.
This is kind of out there, but did you remember the movie Dodgeball, Vincent Vaughn? and who else was in that? You know what I mean? The older early 2000s movie Dodgeball, and
Yeah.
he's I just remember the blonde gal, you know, the Ben Stiller's kind of harassing her at her house and stuff, and Vince Vaughn steps in kind of as the hero, and then he kind of invites himself in, pushes his way in, and he's kind of stops there and whoa. And then she's like, I'm kind of into unicorns. She has this huge unicorn collection all around. And I'm just like, you know, people stop over and it's like, yeah, come into my office. I got something to show you. And then they see, you know, surrounding all these, you know, X Plus and Sofubi's and Pacific Rim and things like that. At least there, I don't feel like it's, you know, I don't feel like the unicorn issue, but sometimes it's like, oh, interesting. And maybe it's a conversation starter. Maybe it's a stopper for some.
It's a deal breaker for some people.
Well, I say it like this. Maybe I should have been a sports collector, but I don't care.
I mean, who cares about sports?
Yeah.
I mean, people care about sports. I don't care about sports. I care about Godzilla.
I know. Sports ball. It's great for the people who love it. It's not me. You know.
Yeah, I'm happy for you and your sports ball.
Right.
The net and the scores and the uniforms.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. So how about manga? I know you said comic books, but how about manga? Have we gotten into that? No?
Never really got into it, actually. You know, it's funny, actually, the one of the conventions that I've actually ever attended was actually a anime manga convention in the Toledo, Ohio area. And I was actually there to meet Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic. You familiar with him? Channel Awesome? Yeah. He's kind of the inspiration as to why I wanted to get into content creation, because I saw, you know, him kind of expressing his rant about things, but I also liked the retro stuff that he was. So I wanted to meet him. And so I went up there, and it's so strange because I was very much a fish out of water, because looking around the vendors tables, I was hoping to find something Godzilla related, and I just kind of passed it up. I'm like, I'm kind of here to get an autograph and a few pictures with the guest of honor. But it was still a good, cool con to see. You know, you're among friends there. You know, geeks just like you who are loving content. You know, overseas content like this, and are unashamed about it. That was pretty awesome about being there. But yeah, I was a little bit out of my element with manga, anime, things like that. So always like the live action kind of stuff. But I do love the IDW comics and, you know, some of the classic Marvel comics that has Godzilla in it, and the Gamera series too. Collected some of them.
Yeah, I only just recently read my first manga, Kaiju number 8. That's like I think it's popular, but I just discovered it like a few weeks ago. I was actually on my way back from G-Fest, where my husband found it in an airport, and then he was like, "Hey, I thought you might like this." I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure, why not?"
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Wait, I think I like this." So I'm
like, be careful. You could get hooked there too.
Oh, what have you done? He's always getting me stuff. He got me the X Plus Defo Real Godzilla 2000. Godzilla 2000 is my favorite movie.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. So he got that for me for Valentine's Day. So that was
very nice. It's got to be love. Yeah. Yeah, the Defo Reels are kind of a cool way to get into collecting if you don't maybe have the shelf space. I think they're great because they're the details there, and they look still awesome on the shelf, but they don't take up all the, you know, all the room of these big 30 centimeters.
They don't take up much room, but they do take up some money.
Oh, they do. Yeah. I wish they were exponentially cheaper, just a little cheaper, but not exponentially. Yeah, I've only got the little 85 because again, it's 85. I had to have that. It's the one with a little reactor. You know.
I want one of those so bad.
It's so cool. Yes.
I have a problem. All right. So what would be, if you had to choose, what would be your favorite thing in your collection?
Oh, if I had to choose.
I'm making you choose right now.
I know it. It's always going to change as it grows. Right now it's Megalon, figure of the year. He's so awesome looking. Love the colors. I love the fact that, you know, because it was a suit, you're going to have those imperfections that make it onto this, you know, the folds in the suit, the so-called imperfections, but for us, it's beauty. You know, even things like under here, that slight gradient into darker, you know, just this guy, he's so screen accurate that it's just not even funny. I mean, just holding him there while watching the Blu-ray of it. So yeah, so far he hasn't been topped. But yeah, did have a box day recently with this guy, and we did a little skit at the beginning. If you get the chance to that, it's very cheesy, but only Godzilla fans will get it, which is awesome. If you aren't a Godzilla fan, that skit makes no sense at all. So let me know what you think about it when you get the chance to see it.
That sounds right up my alley. I'll be sure to check it out at my earliest convenience. That's awesome. All right. So I'm going to ask you a question that someone asked me about my live show, this show that you're on right now, the show that 9 people are watching at the moment.
Glad you're here. Yeah.
Yes. Yay. So how has doing the Monster Report changed you as a person, as a content creator, and as a kaiju fan?
Well, it's the thing that that's always been there. I've had a lot of different careers since that high school. You know, that started in 2011, the year my daughter was born, Deborah, who you saw before we went on the air here, and so even with the career changes I've had, the school did let me go in 2015, but 6 of us were let go because of budget reasons. So had to find some other employment. Did you know, a short stint as an adjunct professor for a while. Wasn't something I was going to stick around with. I even did inspections, pipe inspections for city. And so I've done a little bit of that. I did some software programming for vision software. And now I work in the casket industry doing graphic design. So it's kind of like all of that has changed in my career life. But my marriage since 2009, it's always been there for me. My children since 2011 have been there for me. And this show is something, even with all those other changes, has been consistent and something that I'd do it if I had 3 subscribers. I'd do it if I had 1 subscriber because it's just enjoyable to me. It is an outlet. Like I said, I could be a sports fan. I could be in front of the TV watching, you know, sports ball, throwing around the sports ball, score more points, win the game. And I just don't find myself in it. Apologies to all sports ball fans, but I was, you know, I'd rather be playing with the toys with my kids. I'd rather be reenacting scenes from the monster films, wrestling around with them and things like that, and having good, solid family time and building a home. And so, as far as how it's changed, it's made me more open to talking about it. It always was kind of one of those things I had to keep to myself because like I said, you know, people in my area, when I talked about this kind of stuff, it's like, yeah, there he goes again. You know, how interesting is this? And then they kind of humor you. And so what this has opened up for me is that outlet for reception and to find like-minded people that love this kind of content. And so that has opened up so much. And as far as the fandom, it's made me dig in even deeper. Whereas, you know, I felt like I was a pretty good Godzilla fan until I went to G-Fest the first time. I thought I was a big Godzilla fan until I saw Rich Isso's show, you know, and I was also very inspired by Kyle Yuntz, you know, the Kaiju Cast, you know, when he did his podcast. Loved listening to it, loved hearing the stuff that I was like, I talk just like this. I need to do this. I need to get this out there and not do exactly what someone else is doing, but modify it, make it my own, and you know, and give credit where credit's due. I give a lot of credit to Kyle and Rich and those guys because they were, you know, pioneers in their days, and they're still producing some, you know, content. And I just, you know, I think it's great. And again, newer kaiju content creators, love seeing what they're doing, and yeah, just digging in to what other people are interested in and kind of getting ideas for, you know, where I want to take the show next, what approach is, you know, coming up, and getting excited for possible new content that might be out there. Of course, we're now in this time where we're waiting on a Shin Ultraman, you know, we're waiting on an Apple TV series. Don't know what it's going to be like. Could be a bomb. Don't know. But it's kind of cool to be a kaiju fan again.
That's awesome. All right, we got a question from Gerald Lang. If there was a fire in your house and you could only save and take one Godzilla film, which one would it be?
Only one? Good night.
Only one.
At least the Criterion Collection Showa series is in one container together. But if they weren't together, and it's like, I have to have this, and I guess if it had to be Godzilla, because, you know, I might, if it were anything non-Godzilla, I might grab the 90s, one of the 90s Gamera series just for the rewatchability too of those. But it'd be my Blu-ray of 1985. You know, I actually do have a bootleg Blu-ray of, you know, the Raymond Burr 1985, and, you know, looks great in that HD quality and such. But it's like, that's one, again, the rewatchability, where it all started for me, that one is special. So it's got to be 85.
You know, my original answer was going to be Godzilla 2000 because, like I said, that's my favorite. But you're talking about the one that started it all, which for me would be King Kong versus Godzilla. So
oh, yeah.
I don't know which one. I might just have to go with Godzilla 2000 because that's a special place in my heart because it's the first real Godzilla film I saw on the big screen.
Oh, yeah. Did your opinion change any about that? And I don't mean to turn the tables, but did your opinion change when you actually did see the Japanese version of that film?
No, I actually liked the American version better.
Okay.
Yeah, because the pacing's better, the soundtrack's better. Yeah, I still love the American Godzilla 2000. That's my boy. That's my favorite.
It's still fantastic. Yeah. And I even like listening to that commentary track. I know it's kind of controversial in some circles, but I still like hearing, you know, some of the behind the scenes of how you bring it over to the United States. And, you know, up to that point, it was kind of a mystery to me how these things were happening. But yeah, the 2000 Japanese version is great. But, you know, I'm going to watch it with my kids. They like the dubs, so they don't like the subtitles, and some of them are so young that they can't keep up with the subtitles. I have trouble sometimes keeping up with the subtitles,
especially if you're watching Shin Godzilla with their subtitles and there's lower thirds.
They're up here, they're down here.
Wait, hello. I mean, it would help if I was fluent in Japanese, but I少し話します。でもまだ上手じゃありません。Anyway.
Those are words you're saying, right?
Yeah, I'm still learning Japanese. Those are words. Comment from our friend Michael Hamilton. It is very niche, and there will be people that just don't get it. Finding community is important to grow and keeping the flame lit. I agree. Thank you, Michael.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gerald chimes in with the question he asked. For me, it would be Godzilla versus Megagodzilla, the 74 one for nostalgia, as I seen it as a kid in the 70s as Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster.
It's a very quotable film, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
It really is. Something's wrong. Anguirus wouldn't attack his friend Godzilla. That's my favorite. I don't know why that sticks out to me. It just does.
Oh, I know. You mean it comes from space? That's quite a pipe.
Oh, good Lord. Gotta love Godzilla and those cheesy quotes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Biture Ngoji. Hello. Singular point will give them a headache. Oh my God.
Well, singular point is interesting. Yeah.
Singular point is a thing.
Yeah.
What's your overall opinion on that show?
Overall, I did not dislike it, but I do have to watch it again. Saw it the first time. Glad I did. Was glad to see some, love to hear the sounds of the kaiju again. And that. I was, like I've talked about it, not an anime fan necessarily, appreciate it for what it is, but for someone who is a real anime fan. It's definitely up their alley in the way of storytelling, but it was a bit like the somewhat like the Christopher Nolan of anime slash Godzilla, because it was like, if I miss something at any point, I'm going to be very lost. And I'm like, I think I'm with it so far, but I'd like to see where this is going. So yeah, it's one I'm going to have to see again to give a full opinion. Overall, I think better than the Planet Eater series, by far. But I kind of stopped when I saw the first episode of Planet Eater, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is, I don't know what it is about this. I just did not like it.
Yeah, that was a little tough to chew. But yeah, I like Singular Point as well. Again, kind of tough to digest a little bit, but if you watch the English dub, it's a little easier to understand what's happening. Like you're watching the Japanese dub, and like there's something at stake here, but I think I know what it is, but I for the most part.
Oh, I just go up to people sometimes and I'm like, but what about the opthagonal diagonalizer? And they're like, what? And I'm like, I know.
Exactly.
I know. What?
Oh, good Lord. Yes. All right, let's see what else we got in the chat here. I just picked up Norman England's book. So good, worth buying. Ed and Steve's Ishiro Honda's book is next. Did you read
book.
Behind the Kaiju Curtain?
No, I have not.
You should.
I need to. Yes. Is that Norman England's book?
Yes.
I will pick it up if it's available. Some of these are out of print and they're hard to get.
Yeah.
I will find it.
You will find it too, and you will read it, and you will give me a full book report by Monday.
It will be the monster report.
Yes. All right, Nick, we had a good conversation. Before we wrap up, why don't you tell people where they can find you and your stuff?
Okay, so obviously here on YouTube, search Monster Report. Nick Adam down here, yeah, here. Do a search Monster Report, you'll find me. Check out the trailers, check out the box days, the live shows, and all kinds of content in there for you. Pick and choose, because you don't have to be a completionist. You don't have to watch any of my shows in order. That's the best part of it. They all stand alone. So, yeah, subscribe, like, comment, all of those great things. I love getting feedback on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also the website is monsterreport.com with one R, shared R. The Monster Report, 2 words with 2 R's, was already taken, and so I got the Monster Report, all one word. So yeah, check us out there, and content is coming out all the time. Look for a future episode with Kaiju Kim. Absolutely, it's going to be a great show, and yeah, we'll put her under the spotlight and see if she can answer the questions, and that'll be great. I know she's not going to have any trouble with that at all. Talking about your show and talking about your kaiju upbringing, it's what you do all the time, right? So
it is what I do. That's how I roll.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, looking forward to seeing that episode, and yeah, more stuff is coming out as the content's coming out, and as I have time for it. And one day the new office will happen, and I'll be producing a little bit more. So looking forward to that too.
Alrighty, I'm also looking forward to coming on to your show when the time comes. Hopefully soon.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for coming on to my show. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
I just hit my elbow on the desk. Don't worry about that. Okay. Bloopers. Okay, and to you watching at home, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me and my fantastic guest. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Like this stream if you had a good time here tonight. And be sure to tune in next Sunday for another edition of Chill with Kaiju Kim. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.